All right, everyone, we're back for part 3. We're going to talk about Alban Berg and his really very romantic, but like romantic expressionist in a very 20th century way opera, Wozzeck. Berg, unlike Schoenberg, I think really embraced some of the qualities of the Romantic era still. Despite some of his very close connections to the war that had been ongoing, he, which is the premise of Wozzeck, as you will see. I'm going to play a small synopsis for you guys. Ends up still being really enamored of some of the ideas that are part of the Romantic era, especially when it comes to opera, a large, extravagant ensemble full of very dimensional and multifaceted colors as well. Wozzeck and his other opera, Lulu, are really wonderful. They're a lot to take in at one time. They're incredibly dense works. The narrative is incredibly dark for both of them. If you're interested in Wozzeck, you should take a look at what's happening with Lulu. They're really demanding on the listener. So, of course, we don't have time to watch an entire opera, but I do want to focus on one of the selections that's a part of the third act. Act 3, Scene 4, to be specific. In order to kind of understand the context of the scene that I'm going to play for you, though, there's an opera group that has put together these very fun and illustrative synopses for the different operas. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. It should be fun to watch. It's no more than 2 minutes, but I'll toggle over to my video so we can get an idea of what the narrative of Wozzeck is as a whole and where we will drop in to listen to our concentrated listening example to talk about atonality and the destruction of harmony. Let me go ahead and toggle over to my video.
The opera opens with Wozzeck giving the captain a shave.
You know, Wozzeck, I'm a very important army man who loves to deride your life choices and generally lord my higher status over you.
Yes?
And I'm completely comfortable with a mentally unstable man such as yourself holding a sharp razor next to my face.
Yes?
Wozzeck, are you even listening to me?
In another part of the village, Wozzeck's baby mama, Marie, is checking out a piece of eye candy. Wozzeck is poor, so to make ends meet, he works as a test subject for a doctor.
Now you gotta listen to me, Doc. I can't take this diet anymore. You've been making me eat nothing but beans.
Are you feeling erratic?
Yes.
Faint?
Yes.
Mentally unstable?
Yes. Oh, yes!
Good.
Can I stop eating the beans?
No!
After a day of humiliation, Wozzeck takes Marie out for a romantic walk by a moonlit lake.
And then the doctor and the captain laughed at me just because I wasn't as well off as them. You know, it really stunned me. Not everyone can be born into privilege.
FYI, I'm having an affair with the drum major. I don't even feel bad about it. All you do is eat beans.
Beans! And that's it! I've officially had it!
Wozzeck murders the unfaithful Marie. In a state of shock, he enters the local tavern and confesses his crime to Margaret, Marie's friend.
Oh, hey, Wozzeck.
Hi, Margaret. How are you? Great weather we've been having, huh?
You're telling me. Hey, what's that on your arm?
Oh, it's the blood of my dead wife who I murdered.
Oh, okay, cool.
Murderer!
Panicked, Wozzeck returns to the scene of the crime and tries to destroy the murder weapon by throwing it in the lake.
This is what
Never
we're going
find
to
the murder
watch.
weapon if I hurl it into the lake. Never find the murder weapon if I hurl it further into the lake. Never find the murder weapon if I hurl it into the lake.
And it's by walking further and further into the lake that Vutsek meets his untimely demise.
All right. So that is indeed what happens in Votsek. It's a much more condensed opera than some of the other operas from the classical era or even the Romantic era, which can take 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 hours to perform. So Votsek murders Marie, his wife. The tail end of the audio or the video clip that I'm going to show you is the exit outside of the tavern, where Votsek really has the music is incredibly cacophonous. There's music that's going on stage while also some underscoring that's going on. But he has the murder weapon on him, and it needs to get rid of it. And in his turmoil as an individual, he more or less drowns himself while also trying to, make sure that the murder weapon is not found. So we're going to take a listen to Act 3, Scene 4, which is very, very close to the end of the opera. Let me go ahead and pull up the video for that. All right, here we go. Act 3, Scene 4.
Das Messer. Wo ist das Messer? Ich hab's da gelassen. Näher, noch näher. Mir graut's. Da regt sich was. Still.
That thing that we're hearing, that should be like water to us. So text painting is also apparent in this piece.
Tut. Mörder, Mörder! Ha! Er ruft's! Nein, ich selbst. Marie! Marie! Was hast du für eine rote Schnur um den Hals? Hast ihrer schöne Halsband verdient, wie die Ohrringlein mit deiner Sinn. Was hängen dir die schwarzen Haare so wild? Mörder, Mörder, sie werden nach mir suchen, das Messer verrennt mich. Da ist's! So, da hinunter. Es taucht ins dunkle Wasser wie ein Stein. Aber der Mond verrät mich. Der Mond ist blutig. Will denn die ganze Welt es ausplaudern? Das Messer, es liegt so weit vorn. Sie finden's beim Baden oder wenn sie nach Muscheln tauchen. Ich find's nicht. Aber ich muss mich waschen. Ich bin blutig. Dein Fleck und noch einer. Ich wasche mich mit Blut. Das Wasser ist Blut. Blut.
As he goes out, it continues down. At this ascension up, as we're starting to get out of the scene. Anyway, we'll stop it here. Very chilling, though. Part of what makes it such a compelling ending to the opera is that obviously our main character is somewhat at odds with himself. He has a very obvious internal struggle. He has just murdered his wife. So the troubling subtext here is also reinforced with what's happening within the harmonic language. There wasn't like a pull back to a particular note or pitch, so we didn't feel like we had a home base or like something that was a safety net. Perhaps more than that, we had like no consistency in rhythm or meter. Everything felt very washy. Very appropriate for the scene, considering that we are supposed to be by the river, a body of water. Lots of instances of text painting as well. He throws the weapon into the lake. It slowly shifts down to the bottom of the riverbed. The shun 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 shun. A big full orchestra though, and that's not necessarily typical of the 20th century, with lots of secondary instruments and lots of extended techniques that are also being used in order to get as much color as possible out of the orchestra. And that's kind of what feels really romantic about this piece. However, the language that's being used here, all of the pitches in combination with one another are very unsettling, has a feeling where you're not really returning back to a point of stability or home. Wonderful. We're going to take a closer look at some other operas that have tragic endings later on in a couple of weeks, where we just talk about opera specifically for one lecture. Very, very excited. Up next, though, we're going to talk about an idea that was very specific to Webern's work. Webern is a very compact and brief composer. We're going to talk about his idea called Klangfarben melody, or something we call tone color melody, and how it relates to his compositional practice. So that was something that was very particular to him. Berg, on the other hand, really enjoyed these like very outwardly expressive pieces of music that kind of were in a way an interesting bridge between the 20th century and the Romantic era that came beforehand. In any event, I will see you guys for our fourth and final installment of this lecture in just a few moments.